Balls to the Wall, episode number 41. I'm your co-host, Kenny Matthews, with my mother main man. My partner in crime is back this week, Billy Martin Jr. How are you doing, buddy?
Hey, man. Just glad it's not 100 degrees outside.
Yes, and I saw some liquid that actually was falling out of the sky yesterday. After 2 months. Unreal. We do appreciate you guys listening to us, and we also want to give a special thanks to Terrence Johnson last week, who filled in for Billy Martin Jr. on our last week. Appreciate you, Terrence, coming in at the last minute. That was nice of you. We did want you to know if you could help us out here, subscribe to us on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. But more importantly, if you can hit the comment button, that will really help us out. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Right. We do a lot of lists on this show. You guys are more than happy to list your own list on there. We'd love to critique those things, kind of, the fan participation part of this. So that would be great. And Billy, you got to go up to, I just wanted to say while you were kind of gone, you got to go to the New York Yankees old timers game. And I know they're not playing the game, as a game as they used to, but it had to be pretty nice to just kind of reminisce and be around a whole bunch of old Yankee greats, to say the least.
Absolutely. I mean, several of my father's former players were there. And it was just hard for me to wrap my head around how old they were now. And that, because I've been looking up to these guys since I was 11 years old, 12 years old. And just seeing Whitey Ford's wife and kids and just Kay Mercer, my stepmother, Diane Munson, and hanging out with Thurman's son a little bit. And,
wow.
It was really neat. I mean, I found out some things I didn't even know, that my father and Bucky Dent had butted some heads a little bit back in the day. I didn't even know that. I mean, because Dad always spoke highly about him to me because he knew I really liked Bucky and that we were friends and he was really good to me. And so, I didn't even know any of that back in the day. And Bucky's been so good to me over the years that you didn't, I don't know. It was neat.
Off guard.
A lot of fun. They announced each player and had them trot in from center field and sit on the field. And they did a little video while they walked in. And, it was neat. And, who has a better alumni than the Yankees?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But, it was a little, wasn't quite the same with no game, but evidently the Mets are going to do one with a game this year. So I'll look forward to seeing that.
Well, we're sitting here thinking about this when I texted you earlier this week about that. I can think of only 3 franchises that the retirement of a jersey is really significant, the iconic. It'll be the Montreal, Canadiens, especially when they had the form, when they were, retiring all those numbers, and the Boston Celtics and the New York Yankees. And, you're blessed that your dad's, always going to live in infamy with having his jersey retired as a New York Yankee. I mean, that's about the second best honor you can get in baseball besides Cooperstown.
Yep. Yeah. He's in there, and he's in the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame, which is about 40 minutes away from Cooperstown. So hopefully that's the next spot.
We're gonna get him there. We're gonna get him there, buddy. We're gonna have a Balls of the Wall episode with you up in Cooperstown, buddy. It's coming. It's coming. Well, hey, first I wanted to kind of start off with, man, for me, I mean, being an OU guy, wow. Sunday night started catching wind that Cale Gundy, who's a wide receivers coach at the University of Oklahoma, said some inappropriate M-bombs in a team meeting last Thursday when he grabbed a fellow wide receiver's iPad that he wasn't paying attention at the time. And so he started reading off the lyrics of the song in the meeting, and he said the N word more than once in the lyrics in the song. They kind of had this hush hush for about 48 hours because they had, some media stuff that was going on that Saturday, I believe it was, or Friday, I can't remember. But obviously, this was the decision that came to the new head coach there, Brent Venables, on what to do at this point in time. You feel bad because Cale Gundy has put 30 years into that program. He is an ambassador. He's 5 years as a quarterback there, graduate assistant. Then he came on Bob Stoops' staff there in 1999. By no means does this really represent who Cale Gundy is, but you can't have that there. I mean, you're stuck in a spot where you had to let him go because, and I've been telling people this week, he's a wide receivers coach. That's predominantly an African-American position. He can't go into African-American homes and try to recruit their players to come with this baggage. I mean, you talk about negative recruiting, you don't have to negative recruit like that. People just remember that. So, I mean, it caught me off guard, and we've talked about it here before. Your dad, talking about some of his coaches back in the day that used that word, and he basically told them not to use it again. In this, woke society that we live in, you just can't cross that no matter how it is. And it is a unfortunate double standard too, Billy.
Sure. And that's where it gets awkward, because why is that okay for that player to listen to that music and promote it when a coach can't even read it? And I'm, I wish I could have heard the way he read it. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out. What was his purpose?
From what I've gathered, this is just all rumors and back end information that I've gathered the last couple of days. It was the athlete wasn't paying attention in the meeting, so he was kind of, I wouldn't say mocking, but kind of making fun of the act of him not paying attention.
You're listening to this instead of.
Yes, that's kind of the gist that I've got. Not being in that room completely. I don't know, but from what I also understand, they took a vote, and it was, I mean, he passed big time on the vote. The team wanted to keep him there. They didn't want him to be fired. It was, I think only maybe 5 people voted against him for him to be let go at that time. So, I mean, he still had the locker room, in that aspect, respect of the locker room. It's just, regardless if he was mocking it up or if he was just saying it, whatever, he had to have known that, man, the mother load just came out, at that point in time. And my double standard with the Billy, and we've kind of talked about it before, why is it my race can use that all the time? They can call each other that, but once somebody's got a lighter pigmentation in us and they say it, it's drop the gloves, it's, let's go to blows. But my fellow black guy can call me that in the backfield during the game. It doesn't make any sense to me. I wish the word wouldn't be used at all. That would be the perfect world. Then, we can get, we wouldn't have these kind of situations. If the lyrics of that word wasn't in the song, think about this, Billy. If the words weren't in that song and he's reading the first couple of lines of that, he's still employed right now.
I mean, look at this weird irony too. The word, what's it come from? It's the root of Nigeria, right? Which stands for black. And I mean, so, how did it get twisted into this? If I call you a black man, you're not offended by that.
Right.
But it's become this offensive thing. And everybody knows that, though. That's the only part that makes me scratch my head on him. I mean, double standard all we want. Right. He knows better than to say that. You and I know better than to say that.
It makes me cringe. I can go to a 7-on-7 event and cover it in football, and I could hear that word ad nauseum on the bench during the game, at the concession stand. I can hear them singing it on their, listening to their beats. And I think about what that word has done, how many careers and how many lives have been affected from that pure word there itself. But I can go out to this little sporting event and it's just routine vernacular. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. I just don't get it, man.
To reel it in a little bit. So my partner in my baseball agency is 100% Italian, right? And he grew up in the world, or, his father more than him grew up like my father did, that if you were called a Dago or a Wop, those were fighting words. Now, Italians could call each other that. You could say that to your buddy. Hey, what's going on, Dag? What's going on?
Don't cross that line.
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? In a way. And so his grandfather wouldn't eat at Burger King because it was the home of the Whopper, and he thought that was a derivative of the word Wop.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Isn't that great?
Well, I didn't even know that those were derogatory names until, much later in my life, because I had a real good friend of mine that's an Italian family. We, befriended us since 1980. And one time at a Christmas party, they started telling me these words, and I'm like, really? I just had never associated with it at all. And I said, I would have been that uneducated person that might have said that in the mid 80s to some Italian and not knowing why he wanted to kick my ass. I said, thank God I got some education later when I didn't put my foot in my mouth, But yeah, to wrap it up, I feel horrible for Cale Gundy. He has been a beloved Sooner. This does no means this take away from the man itself, but it was just a tough call. That was absolutely the right call. I know there's a lot of people in Oklahoma saying, no, he should have stayed. He should have stayed. You cannot get rid of that poison by just wiping it down with a towel. You had to get rid of it out of the room. There's just no way. He couldn't.
No, you're right. Not in today's world.
No,
not working.
You would have had 115 other schools recruiting against you every day, all day long, just because of it. And if you remember, about 10 years ago, we had a situation at the University of Oklahoma with the SAE fraternity singing that song on the bus. So we got to remember, not too long ago, you got rid of a fraternity for doing that. You couldn't have kept an employee using that word in any case or any context. So, and I feel bad, but the N word gets another one. It's not going to be the first, and it won't be the last. Unfortunately.
I hope for him in his career that it does go away eventually, and he can get back out there and get past it. Because
maybe even as just an analyst somewhere, maybe he can get a job where he's not actually doing the on-field coaching and not doing recruiting, but he's an offensive mind. Maybe he could do something of that nature.
I got it. He could be on the broadcast, and he could be the color analyst. Perfect. Hey.
We'll go to subject number 2 on that perfectly. We had another iconic figure that announced her retirement on the tennis world. I know we don't talk tennis much here, but you can't let this story go where Serena Williams basically said that the US Open is going to be her last rendezvous on the tennis circuit here. I started going back and looking at some of the records and what she's meant to the game of tennis. She began her career as a 14-year-old in 1995, which we talk about players going to the NBA at 18, but we can have tennis players going at 14. So that's another story for another day. But, 73 singles titles, 4 gold medals, and 319 straight weeks she was the #1 player in the game. That's pretty good, and that's not even mentioning she's got 23 Grand Slam titles to her name. There's people that have left their mark on tennis. Billie Jean King is obviously one of those. I think about Martina Navratilova and Don Brain did on the
Chrissy Evert.
Chrissy Evert, who's battling cancer. So that's something where I hope that she can get over that. But yes, there's not many people that are better than what she has done. I guess you could say Margaret Covert. I guess, could be, since she's got 24 Grand Slam singles to her name. But I think that what she does, I think she saved tennis in a way, because for a while there, the women's game was more popular than the men's game. And that never had happened before. And I think it had a lot to do with Serena and Venus Williams being on the circuit then with their mojo. And they brought, what's the word I'm trying to look? They brought some mojo to tennis. They did.
Well, and how much did them being sisters make them both better, competing with each other, I'm sure, as kids? And I don't know about you, but early in their career, I remember thinking Venus,
yes,
head and shoulders better and going to have a much better career. And Serena just said, nah.
No. I called her a middle linebacker at tennis, for a while there. The power that she had in her backhand, her serve, the athleticism to be such a big lady, the outfits, that they wore, they kind of broke that, that old tired all white look. They started wearing colors. Nike got involved. They brought so much attention, and you saw those purses go up for them monumentally, kind of almost Tiger Woods-esque to golf, what the Serena and what the Williams sisters did, so, you're talking about something that she changed the game for the better, I think.
Oh, absolutely. So, and we're talking about just from a scouting the category. Look at her athletic body compared to other tennis women. Do you know at one time she was actually dating CC Sabathia?
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, they dated for a couple of years. And I remember thinking to myself, man, if I could ever steal anybody's baby and raise it, would be the greatest athlete in history. 7-footer CC Sabathia, major league, amazing athletic pitcher, and Serena Williams. What? Wow.
Would have been the strongest right-handed kids ever.
Oh.
Ever, dude.
Oh my gosh. Athletic. Think about it. Think about how good for a long time CC was. And I'm sorry, man, he wasn't a big fan of the gym.
No.
By looking at him, and
he just started liking the gym after he retired. He wasn't pushing any iron when he was playing. No.
Right.
But now, if you've seen him now, he's lean and ripped. But back then, no. I was thinking that kids would have been pretty tall. Those kids would have been. And they would have been pretty tall too. Neither one of them are short. So you're talking about.
How tall is Serena? I don't even know.
She's close to 6 foot. There's no question. Yeah. So with that, I guess Jimmy the Greek back in the day when he was talking about breeding, you wanted to breed athletes, then those are two right there that you can start. It'd be pretty good. I feel bad for Serena because she kind of doesn't really get to go out on her terms. She tore her hamstring back, you remember, in the 2021 Wimbledon. She never really got fully healthy after that. Her last Grand Slam title was the Australian Open in 2017. And the thing about that, she was pregnant when she won that year. I mean,
Wow.
you feel bad, but I wanted, one of the things I thought was really good was about this. She didn't think she was going to come back to tennis at all after she tore her hamstring. She got a phone call for one Eldrick Tiger Woods, and he's the one that convinced her to come back. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. She did play this week in the Toronto, and I believe it was Toronto Open, Canadian Open, and she won her first match, but she did lose yesterday. I think she's going to try to play next week and then be the kind of the final chapter into the U.S. Open. I know U.S. Open comes around right around when football season starts. I can't imagine what the rating's going to be when Serena goes out on that mat, the U.S. Open. I mean, that first round, I have a feeling you're going to have a whole lot of TV sets watching that because us as fans, we love seeing greatness for the last time.
Well, no doubt. And it's almost like, really? Now you want to pay attention?
Yeah.
But it's always been that way.
Yes, it
Always.
Always has. We do appreciate you guys listening to us on here on Balls to the Wall. All we ask that you subscribe to us and press the like button over there and comment on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. That would help us out. Any comments we would definitely appreciate. Any suggestions you would like, because we want this to be about you guys. We enjoy this talking sports, but we want to make sure we bring some material to you guys that you're really interested in. And one of our bull points that we always have is the balls and strikes segment here that we talk a little game of baseball. I know, Billy, we've been gone a couple of weeks there. I know you weren't here last week to talk about the Soto trade. I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on that. I mean, I think that the Nationals were never going to get, a dollar for dollar trade for that guy anyway. But they got a pretty impressive haul. And think about this. You're not paying him $500 million to be in your lineup anymore either. So you got to factor that in also.
No. Yeah. I mean, it really shows you what a great job AJ Preller's done in San Diego. I mean, you look at that Dodgers team that they put together, and it's a juggernaut. And all of a sudden, hours down the highway, there's a team that has that kind of depth in its minor league system that they can turn around and flip that into a Soto. And wow, I mean,
after Manny, came over a couple of years ago before, after Yu Darvish came over, I mean, Dave Clevenger, they really, they put the premium on prospects, but they're saying you're not going to come to San Diego. You're going to bring in a piece to come over here because of it. And I mean, you got to have those chips in your minor league system to do that. I mean, that team is, now you can say this. They laid an egg in Chavez Ravine last weekend, getting swept all 4 games and getting outscored by 12 runs. So for the meanwhile, it didn't seem to work out. But I mean, you're going to be pretty formidable when you have Tatis, Manny, and Soto in the heart of your lineup. That's going to be a tough out. If you get any kind of pitching in the postseason, you're going to earn beating them. But like you said, I think Preller's done an excellent job with that minor league team. I mean, for years and years and years, the Padres have been kind of an afterthought when it comes to free agents coming there. And they've shown now with the Matt Snells bringing guys over now that they're a player in the free agent game, where before they really weren't.
No doubt. And hey, look, they also got a guy by the name of Josh Bell in that trade, a kid from Dallas, Texas, and he is and they were so excited to get him, they threw Hosmer away, basically. I mean, just basically almost gave him away.
Yeah, but was it Luke Voigt? Yeah, didn't Luke Voigt go back with them? I think it was Luke Voigt that went back with them. in that trade. They still have Hosmer. They have him, they're putting him out, basically saying, somebody please take him off our hands. Was basically what they're doing. But yeah, here we remember when we were doing balls of the wall in April, who was the hottest hitter in baseball then? Machado and Hosmer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not talking about a bit player at all. You're talking about a really good Major League Baseball player that's relegated to the bench now. It's unreal to me. Unreal. But yeah, I wanted to see your thoughts about Soto. There were so many rumors that the Yankees were involved, that the Dodgers were involved. Remember this time last year, it was a San Diego, Los Angeles Dodger battle for Mad Max and Trey Turner. The Padres fell short. I think that they wanted to make sure this time around that they were not falling short to the Dodgers this time around.
No, they didn't. And the first three guys in that trade have a chance to be great. Mackenzie Gore got a chance to be special as a starting pitcher. I love Robert Hassel. I'm not even sure. Some people rank him over C.J. Abrams, the shortstop they got.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Abrams is going to be better than him, maybe both of those guys. So, in a trade like that, James Wood's also a nice player. So is Yarlin Susana. If two of those guys hit and can be all-star caliber players, then they did pretty darn good, because they obviously weren't going to be able to re-sign him. If he turned down $500 million, you're not getting that guy.
Well, and think about this though, Billy, and I think you probably appreciate this. Once those guys get good, your Strasburg contract's coming off. You don't have Soto's contract. You don't have Rendon's contract. You're in a big market. You have the ability now and flexibility to go back and get some guys where these guys are money controlled for the next 5 or 6 years. So yes, I know you're tearing down that 2020 World Series team to the bone right now. I get I could feel the angst in the Capitol, a little bit over that. and Billy, will you ever see this again where a guy is 23 years old, a World Series champion, and he has been traded, and you can't even, I don't even know if 23 is your prime. Isn't 26, 27 pretty much your prime, 28?
28 was during the steroid days. 28 for hitters, 29 for pitchers. So probably roll back the clock 1 or 2. But statistically, for years, 28 was your best year. So what's in store for that guy?
And you got a little bit of protection in the lineup before him and after him too. I mean, you're going to pitch around Soto to get to Manny Machado. Are you going to pitch around Fernando Tatis so you can get to Soto? I mean, the numbers are going to be big. Now he's not really going to a hitter's park. Half of his games are not going to be at a hitter's park, but I mean, still, he doesn't care about that. I mean, he can rake anywhere.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, so it'd be really interesting to see what his numbers are going to be. But I mean, a Hall of Fame player getting traded at age 23, you might not see that again.
No. If he has a son, that's a great player. The Twins plan on drafting it. Do you know why?
Why?
Because he'll be a mini Soto. Hey.
Strikes again. I love it. I want to go to lighter side mode on a baseball note. What about Pirates infielder Rodolfo Castro the other night? The first time when I saw it live, all I could think about, what would Billy Martin Jr.'s dad say right now if somebody slid into third base and their cell phone came out of their back pocket? If you saw the look by the third base coach when he says he's trying to give him the phone.
He wouldn't even touch it.
No.
I'm not touching that.
Now, I will say I'll give Castro credit. He took ownership of this in post game. He answered every question to the media. He apologized profusely about it. He apologized to his team and his manager. But that just tells you, I think, where the current athlete's mind is sometimes in today's sport. Are they fully vested? Are they fully vested into their craft? Are you thinking about things off the field more than you're thinking about things on the field?
Of course, had I been his agent, I would have said to him to let the world know he was using his communications app to help him understand what his English-speaking teammates were saying, but his English isn't that bad. So, because a few years ago, when I coached for the Texas Air Hogs, and half of our team was the Chinese national team.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that year. Yeah.
Other than a few dinner courses, I can't speak any Chinese, and so I had to have an app.
Sure.
Where
you communicate.
I was coaching first base with those guys. If the third base coach gave a signal and maybe he didn't see it, I could speak into the app, and I had to ask for league permission to keep that phone in my back pocket for that reason. Okay. And another thing is, all the players look at iPads and laptops to get information. That would have been another excuse I would have said if I were him. Hey, I was just trying to look up matchups and my iPad wasn't charged up before the game. I'd have tried to go with that one, but come on. You and I have talked about it before. There should not be any electronics in the dugout. You prepare before the game, and then you go play the game, because I'm pretty sure when Abner Doubleday was making this game up, he didn't have any electronics in mind, and that's going to make the game more old school.
The second thing that went through my mind, Billy, was thank God he wasn't an Astro.
Right?
I was going, can you imagine how vilified he would be right now if he was an Astro instead of playing for my lowly beloved Buccos?
That would have been funny had he said that. No, I just had it because I like calling my buddies on the Astros during the game.
Yeah, but that was the first thing I thought about, is how enraged would your dad have been, and how big of a fine would it have been, on the field for kangaroo court.
Well, I can tell you how my father reacted to one phone moment. Mickey Rivers, who I saw this past weekend and got to spend some time with, Quick. Well, Mick liked to play the dogs and the ponies.
Oh, yeah. And Lou Piniella.
So did my father. But not during games. And
right up to first pitch. Right up to the first pitch.
I remember a game where Mickey was up next and there was no one standing in the on-deck circle. So my father looked up down the dugout, ran up the tunnel to find him, thinking maybe, he was in the bathroom. No, he ran up further. There he was on the payphone. I'm pretty sure making bets. And so obviously Dad screamed at him. I think he ran down to go hit. My father then picked up a bat and beat the payphone off the wall of the Yankee Stadium, and it ended that.
A little collateral damage.
Yeah, so I think that would have told you what would have happened to his payphone or to his cell phone.
Well, my next baseball nugget, and I don't know if they had any in Fenway or not, But the guys in Fenway got to be pretty upset knowing that Chris Sale is riding his bike during rehab, fractures his wrist, and has surgery last Saturday. And I laugh only to this. You spent all that money on Sale, kind of like the Washington Nationals with Strasburg. And since you won a World Series, you basically have gotten nothing, no return on these young pitchers going forward. And I mean, gosh, you feel bad because Sale, because a lot of it, he had no control over. I mean, obviously he had Tommy John surgery. Then he breaks his, finger, line drive off Baron Hicks, when we come back here. It just seems like sometimes people are just snake bitten, and it seems like Chris Sale is, man, he is just snake bitten along with Strasburg right now.
Yeah. I need to check the basic agreement. A player is not allowed
That's what I thought.
to ride a motorcycle. For that matter, I don't think they're allowed to ride scooters. But I don't know
skiing, about snow skiing. You're not supposed to do any of that.
No speed lunking. Yeah. To be real, you're not allowed to go cave dwelling, and look, do the teams actively enforce that? No.
Fernando Tatis.
They usually give guys a warning, but
yeah,
Fernando
Tatis missed 3/4 of the year because he got on a motorcycle accident, dirt bike accident in the off season. So
yeah, and now it'll be interesting to see if that ever happened to him again, how they'd handle that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
yes. Well, you knew this, Billy, and I knew this. The thing about Chris Sale they always worried about was his unorthodox little delivery anyway. A lot of people thought he was primed for Tommy John surgery anyway. So you'd think that he'd just be a little bit more overly cautious, I guess, instead of, the other way around, kind of being lax about it, because he hasn't been on the mound so much in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, you're a multimillionaire. Why do you need to drive the bike to go pick up lunch anyway? Just have it delivered. I'm thinking.
Right. Although players are all superstitious.
Yes.
I mean, 100.
And I can't expect them to live in a bubble either.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
But
I just feel bad because
I'm with you.
Yeah. It's just my next nugget I was going to talk to you about of it. We have to talk about Ohtani. I mean, look at what he's done this year in a lineup that hasn't had Trout, that hasn't had Rendon. I think the question mark coming into this year was, is he going to be an elite pitcher or a very good pitcher? We knew he could hit. I mean, he's doing it now. And think about this. He's the first person since Babe Ruth to have 10 home runs and 10 wins in a season. I mean, anytime you're associated with Babe Ruth, pretty good. You're pretty good. And he just passed Ichiro on the home run list here for Japanese player. I mean, I don't know what else you could say about this guy except that, where would the Angels be without him? I guess I should tell you right now, because I mean, that's the only reason to pay attention to the California Angels right now is when Ohtani's in the lineup or on the bump.
I know the way we've been kind of conditioned, we're all expecting him to get hurt, right? He can't do this. Nobody can do this. And it's amazing. And not that many people even really associate Babe Ruth with being a pitcher or remember that, we're talking about probably the greatest postseason pitcher in history.
Yes.
Yes. Babe Ruth pitched a 14-inning complete game.
1-0.
1-0. Yeah.
Pitched all 14.
Oh wait,
How
no,
much?
you know what? It was 2-1. He did give up a
2-1.
run in
Two
that
one. That's right. That's right. He did. That's right. That's right. He did give him one. That's right. 2-1. I remember we were
because
looking
he
at the
also
stats.
had the scoreless inning streak in postseason, but it was all World Series back then,
Yeah.
and I think that's who Hershiser surpassed, I believe, when he set the record.
I thought it was Mariano Rivera that broke that one. So I thought it was Mariano, but yeah, but you're right. It could have been Hershiser. It could have been Hershiser. That could have been
Awesome either way.
Yeah. I mean,
That's wow. I mean, I so look forward to watching that guy play.
He's turned me. I thought he was more, flash than dash, at the beginning. I thought it was more of a, all right, sure. But he's changed me this year. I mean, what he has do. I mean, think about this, Billy. You have pitching stuff to do in between starts, that you're supposed to do to get your arm ready for the start. This guy is in the lineup batting leadoff. I mean, so we talk about rest, resting. What we keep talking about pitchers, innings workloads, and all that other kind of stuff. We talk about that at nausea. And here we got a guy that's pitching every 5th day, and he's in the lineup the other 4 days that he's not pitching. And he's in the lineup when he's pitching.
Absolutely.
I was thinking
of a pitcher, and he bats in the top 4 slots in anybody's team in the game.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about this. The last pitcher hitter that was a really good hitter and pitcher that I can remember was my old relief buddy Bobby Thigpen, that pitched in for the White Sox for a number of years. If you don't remember, that guy was an excellent hitter in college in that lineup, right behind Will Clark and Rafael Palmeiro out there in Mississippi State. He was an excellent hitter, but he had to give that up. And he said that he made the right decision becoming a pitcher. Obviously, he was one of the best relief pitchers for a number of years in our era, let's say in the relief pitching era. But he says he kidding him. I heard him in an interview. He says, I can't imagine doing all the prep work as a pitcher and then turning around and doing all the prep work for a batter against a pitcher. He says, when does the guy sleep? When does he go to sleep? He said, it makes us pitchers bad now that this guy can do both.
Okay. And here's something weird too, because one of the things I've been saying for years is when we get great Japanese pitchers, they're not used to the every 5th day regime we do here. In Japan, they basically
once a week,
1 day a week, right? I mean, it's kind of like you're the Friday night guy, you're the Saturday guy, and they keep them on that schedule.
Kind of like the minor leagues doing now. Minors are kind of doing that now, once a week.
And it's really what I think I would do if I were a team and I brought over one of those guys. I'd make him my Friday guy, or I'd pick his day.
Sure.
And then work the rest of the staff kind of around that. Use a 6-man rotation, or your long guy, however you want it to do it, and just work around it, because give everybody 6 days instead of 5 days. A lot of guys get angry about that, but I'm sorry, it has to be better for you.
Well, didn't the Angels, if I remember, they went to a 6-man staff at the beginning of the year, if I was thinking right.
I know that. I don't know if they stuck with it or not, but they probably did.
I think that they may have done that, but regardless of the case of that, I mean, I think you're right. With us de-emphasizing starting pitching anyway, it's going to that route, Billy. I mean, you're not stretching pitchers out anyway anymore. I mean, the guy gets to the 7th inning, it's considered a great start. They use the word great when they say that. Getting to the 7th inning. I mean, you're minimizing that word big time. It's not a great start. It's a good start that he got to the 7th, but it's not a great start. A great start's what like Castillo and Cole did the other night. Both of them going 7 innings, striking out a bunch of people and giving up no runs. That's a great start. in this day and age. But getting to the seventh inning and giving up 3 or 4 runs, that's not a great start. But anyhow, that's another line. But I do think that you are going to see some 6-man rotations. My question would be to you, and you probably have a better eye. Do we have enough arms in America and overseas to do that? Do we have enough starting pitchers on this continent to go to 6-man rotations?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we do. It just obviously the hardest thing for the teams to do in their mind is let those guys see the lineup a third time. They just get so terrified of that. And
yes, they are. The dreaded.
Right? Yeah,
Third time through the lineup. The batting average goes from 228 to 298. And oh gosh, can the guy on the Schwinn bike with his brim glasses and his multi-computers and laptops, can you please just not have this much effect on the great game of baseball? Please. I do want to bring this up here. We had a dazzling debut last night, and you're going to appreciate that, from Mr. Vaughn Grissom. Marquise Grissom's kid called up by the Braves yesterday, shortstop, the #1 player in their minor league organization, and he hit a bomb. And this is when I started thinking, okay, I grew up watching Delano DeShields Sr. I watched Marquise Grissom, all these guys, and I'm going, now their kids are playing in the, we're getting older, Billy, but it is nice to see these proteges in the game because, man, it's protege central up there in Toronto, and it's nice to see some other guys get spread out, in America, not just all of them hanging out in Canada.
No, I mean, I wish we were playing for Toronto because there are so many there already that just call the team the Sons of, and I do. I love it. I love watching these guys that are Sons of. I mean, obviously proves what a failure I was, but it's neat to see, and it shows not only that breeding is important, their bloodlines are important. I think just as much of it is that these kids mentally believe they can do it because, hey, I'm Dad's son. If Dad could do it, I could do it. And
well, don't you think they get the mental aspect of the game too? They learn the game because they see the game at the highest level, and you get firsthand knowledge of why you did this or why you're doing that, and you don't question it. If Bobby Mercer's telling you as you're a lad, this is how you bunt, this is how you bunt. That's how you practice it. You didn't think twice about it. You didn't have to get confirmation or go see a video to do it. You just did it because they instructed you to do it. I think I think players' kids listen more than maybe probably the average kid does listening. That's not a player's kid. And I think that has a lot to do with it. But just being around the game by osmosis, you're going to be ahead of the game mentally than the kids that are not there. It's just, you can't get that from Madden. You got to actually be on the field and watch it.
No, it does. It helps a ton. But it's funny, there are just certain things that you could tell yourself all you want. Certain things, let it go, flush the toilet, whatever you're. It's still hard on guys, and that's the key. The great ones know how to let things go and move forward, not swim in the past. Remember the good, not the bad.
Hard to do. Even the greats go through those slumps. It's hard to do, man. My last baseball point to be here. I think you have a personal relationship with Al Avila with Detroit, the GM that was just let go. 22 years of service there in the Tigers organization. I feel bad for him because there was a lot of preseason hype, thought that the Tigers might be pretty decent this year. He made some moves this year in the offseason too. Normally the Tigers don't make moves, and they did, and Javi Baez and a couple, and they've been really injured. A lot of the moves he made, a lot of guys have just been injured throughout the year. Tigers have never got any firm setting throughout the year. This year's another dismal year, and obviously he kind of takes one in the shorts for the team. And I was sitting here thinking about this, Billy, is that, it's a tough job as it is when you got a fluent organization. But when you're really one of those that are kind of strapped behind your back, where if you make a move, it's got to work. Because if it doesn't, it sets your franchise back a couple more years. And then that's when your fan base says, why do we have to keep seeing this, via Orioles, Pirates, Kansas City, every trade deadline. Why are our best players getting plunked away? And I just feel bad because it's a tough get. I mean, I know they get paid well, but man, it's a tough living. And I can't imagine how much sleep those guys lose from those kind of organizations.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point. Why now with Al?
Yeah.
He just signed those guys.
Yeah. Why now?
Did you really think you were a World Series team this year? Yeah. You and I weren't expecting the Texas Rangers to win the World Series, even though they just spent $500 million on guys, right? But we know we're starting to see light now. We're starting to watch them play a great game against the Astros yesterday, and that was a big win. And guys, Glenn Otto from the Joey Gallo trades out there competing toe to toe with a Justin Verlander. I mean, wow, it was neat to see. But I mean, Al deserved another year, I think, to
those moves would have made.
Let the dust settle a little bit and see where this team is.
And have a healthy bunch. I mean, that's, he didn't have all of his cards on the table. I mean, he's at the blackjack table showing 14 every time, and so it's I feel bad in that way, that aspect. But I also know, my grandparents live in Detroit. My 95-year-old granddad was at a game 2 weeks ago. He's fed up. My aunt's fed up with, the constant losing. They said, bring back Magliano or Dornez and that crew, back to Comerica Park. It's a frustration level that I feel as a Bucco fan, the Pirates. I keep hearing, what it was just 6 years ago, we had the best outfield, in baseball for a while there with Polanco and D-Mac and now Marte, and we have nothing to show for us except a couple of first-round wild card losses. And then you go, it's hard to kind of turn that corner and then keep it there. I mean, think about the Kansas City Royals, back-to-back World Series, and then they've been an afterthought since. I feel for the small market team. I guess maybe that's more or less. I feel for the small market team. I wish there was a way that the small market team could be a viable option to win the World Series more often than not. I wish there was, but it's not perfect.
There is, but it's just so hard to draft and develop and
keep. And then keep. That's the other thing. It's the keep. That's the Pirates say, well, I better get rid of Snell. I mean, not Snell. I'd rather get rid of Glasgow and Talion now, because I know in the free agent year, we can't afford to keep them here. And getting draft pick compensation is not near enough for what we've invested in this guy for 6 or 7 years. And I that's where I feel kind of bad for the Miamis and those guys. When you do get a really good player, you're like, geez, we open up the purse strings to keep them here. We're handcuffed to do anything else for the duration of that contract. So, I just, salary cap in baseball needs to be here. There you go. We need a salary cap. Then you'll push and shove. And player development would be a huge deal then, wouldn't it, buddy, with a salary cap? Yes.
It it also just shows how hard it is to draft these guys in baseball. When you look at 15% of the draft, less than 15% of the draft has a 4-year career, but really less than 15% even makes it to the major leagues. Okay.
Unreal.
It'll be interesting to see where that percentage is on the new 20-round draft.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You got the 20-run draft now. So, yeah, those percentages
That's just
are
getting
going
to the big league. That's not staying there and having a career. It's less than 9% that has a 4-year career.
The only way that stat stays the same or gets better is because GMs are forced to rush these guys that are not major league ready. They're like, hey, we spent the second round. Hey, you got to go. You're going up. I know you're not ready, but go. I mean, that's the only, because the pool is smaller that you're drafting from now, and it's just, yeah, it's tough go. It's tough go. But yes, we love the great game of baseball, but it's warts and all. But we are approaching September. So, I mean, it's going to be here right around the corner, Billy. And I'm just, hey, 6 months ago, I'm just glad the game is here. I wasn't quite sure in February.
I am too. And I did hear a funny one on a game I was watching last night. The new runner on second rule.
Oh, yeah.
They are now referring to as the Manfred man. That's what I thought. That's kind of hysterically appropriate.
How great is that? Oh, and to that, that the Yankee-Seattle game that went 13 innings the other night, that's the first game that's gone to the 13th inning with nobody scoring with the Manfred man on second base. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I heard that during the telecast. I couldn't go to sleep that night. And then the base running for the Yankees, that's another story.
Well, but that's because nobody can bunt. Now, I mean, but that guy over, you got a pretty good chance of scoring it.
And then I watched Joey Gallo go opposite field yesterday in a Dodger uniform, and you puke. But anyway, we will go to our last subject of the day here, and that is the Live Golf Tour and their fight with the PGA Tour. I thought this was going to be great drama. You saw it kind of come into a head at the end of last week when Taylor Gooch, Matt Jones, and Hudson Swafford, they sued against the PGA to try to be able to play in the FedEx Cup that starts tomorrow. And if people don't understand, the FedEx Cup is the top 125 players in golf. That's rankings, and you get points for being on the tour. And it starts this week, and then it goes to 70 the following week and goes down and down. Or I believe it's 3 matches in a row, correct? Is there 3 or 4? I can't remember what it is offhand.
Right.
Yeah. And so they petitioned because they went with the Live Tour, and once they went to the Live Tour, the PGA Tour said, "Hey, you don't have anything to do with us anymore. You're not going to be able to play in our events anymore." Well, let's just say this: round 1 to the PGA Tour, because it's going to be a heavyweight battle. Some more lawsuits coming, obviously, into there. But man, I love the way McIlroy and Justin Thomas both been very adamant about this ruling, and both were very verbal in their appreciation, their approval of this new court ruling against them. And think about this, Billy. It's got some more things to it, because I mean, you got Ryder Cups and President Cups, coming up in the future, and that's also dictated on your tour points, going forward. I know that this Live Tour is all about the money. Basically, it really is. I mean, sure. Yeah, it's all about the money. But there is ramifications for your decisions. In chasing money, sometimes you're going to lose insight, and you're going to lose historical things. I think that's the thing that you're going to lose being on the Live Tour. Nobody cares about that Trump course in Florida, in April next year. But you care about, going to the Byron Nelson because of Byron Nelson, or going to the Memorial because of Jack Nicholson, and that's not even including the 4 majors plus the other one I'm trying to think of. But anyhow, you get the point.
Sure. Well, and I got to be honest. I mean, part of why we like to watch golf is we want to see that pressure putt.
Yes.
We want to see that big shot in a big moment. The same reason we watch the playoffs in every sport. Who's going to hit that three-pointer when the game's on the line, right? Who's going to get that clutch hit in the baseball game, make the big play in a football game? It's what makes it work. And now we're going to watch these guys that are getting paid a salary play golf. I mean,
there's no cut.
I don't. And you look at Phil Mickelson, who I love as a player, but come on, what's he known best for?
Yeah,
he's known best for coming in second in those big games, because a lot of times he misses that big putt. And
Greg Norman.
So now we're gonna, I think we're gonna see an even better version of Phil Mickelson now, because that doesn't matter, but it doesn't mean the same to me. And so why didn't they just make gigantic purses for winning those tournaments? That would have attracted the players and put them at different times to where they're not butting heads with the big games, the big matches that really matter to the PGA.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then see what happens. They could have turned it into something special, have their purses quadruple what ours is doing. Hey, they might get Tiger in some games. They might get the names they're really wanting to get this way.
If you did something of that nature, don't you think it also inspires younger people to really get into the game of golf? They're going, man, if we can just get on tour, we can make a freaking fortune, and it's not less wear and tear on my body than playing baseball, basketball, whatever else there is. I mean, I think you sparked huge interest that way. But trying to divide the two, I wasn't there for the AFL NFL conversion back in the day. I've read a number of books about it. I know the Saudis got more money than God. It's not about money to them, but you just lost historical presence when you're not able to play at the Masters, when you're not able to play at the U.S. Open, when you're not able to play at the, whatever they call it now, the European Open, I guess is what they call it, whatever. It's not the British Open anymore. You lose history. That sport is 150 years old. You've got all the milestones, you got all the benchmarks, you got everything that's set on the table. And by the way, that PGA Tour was damn good to all those golfers that went to the LIV already. They've made a fortune already off the PGA Tour. You weren't, it's not like you were decrepit or you were poor when you went over there. Your standard of living has been tremendous because of the PGA Tour. Now, does the PGA Tour got warts? Absolutely they do. Is there maybe some things that this LIV Tour can incorporate into the PGA Tour? I'm for that. I'm not a big fan of the music while they're playing. It just doesn't seem right to me. That seems a little NBA-esque to me instead of, golf where it's hush please, quiet please. And I think it's put the players in a bad spot because it's driving a wedge between the players. Just think about this. Maybe 3 or 4 months ago, most of those guys were getting along with each other. But now that you've made a choice over here, now you got daggers being thrown between PGA guys, and that's a shame to me.
It is. They could have very easily jumped in with both feet and done it right, and made their tour, whatever you want to call it, just if they'd have just started off with 2-3 big events and made them monsters where everybody wanted to play there and rolled out the red carpet for everybody and kissed the PGA's butt in the process and said how great this is and tried to do something with them, this thing would have worked.
And Billy, it's 54 holes. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't. I can't get my hands around 54 holes. It's like, I think Tiger made a great point. He says, golf, people think, oh, well, you walk the holes, you do this and that. It's a grind. it's a mental and physical grind for 4 straight days. So he says, like Rory McIlroy says, you can bury the first hole, but you still got 17 to go. That's part of the game, the excitement of the game. I think that's what I think gets missed here when you have 54 holes. That reminds me of like a senior tour. No cut. We're going to play just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I understand that they're seniors that you can do that, but you got guys you got young guys playing just 3 days, and then you only have to play 12 events. I mean, I don't get it, but I am glad the PGA Tour won this one around, because now we won't have to talk about it tomorrow, in the FedEx Cup going forward. These guys don't have to keep talking about the live guys and the suit and all that other stuff. Hopefully we'll just see good golf the next 3 weekends.
Yeah, I wonder how many people really will watch.
Well, that pigskin's in the air. So, that kind of trumps all watching of all other sports. I think there's a collective sigh amongst baseball, golf, and tennis right now that says, uh-oh, the mother load is right around the corner, and it's called NFL football. So, yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see what those are. But I do think that the Serena Williams, if they're smart, they'll put her on a Monday or Tuesday, and I bet you'll get good ratings for that, just because you don't know if it'll be her last time to be on the tennis court, plus being in New York. I think that will get some Americans tuned in big time. I do. But anyhow, I did want to wrap the show up here with one quick thumbs down and one quick thumbs up, and I'll do the thumbs up first. The Bowen estate, kudos to you guys. The Broncos just got sold to Walton Penner Corporation for $4.6 billion, Billy. $4.6 billion for the Denver Broncos, team that's been around since 1960. And man, I just want a little of that gravy to spill off on me, that $4.6 million for the sale. Now, I understand that the Bowen clan doesn't get along very well, so that's the price that pays with a big check. But can you imagine, how does he go to what makes it 4.65 and not 4.6 or 4.7? Are we really caring a point about that 0.5? When it's $4.6 billion? It's unbelievable to me.
And where do they rank on the list of
think about
what number are they on that list?
What are the Cowboys and the Yankees and Liverpool? I mean, what are they? If you're talking it's got to be double that at least, right?
When they had their last evaluation.
Or Manchester United, I should say.
Yeah. Well, and so when they were talking about those being the big 3, they were all in the like 3 billion range. Yeah. Right? That was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah. Put them on the market now.
So, what are they? 6, 7, 8 billion? Are they a trillion? Are they worth $1 trillion? Are the Cowboys worth $1 trillion?
Yeah, I'm thinking about all the media rights, all the digital rights and all that's out there that makes, the Yankees, Manchester United, and Cowboys so popular. Dodgers. I mean, I think about the Dodgers, just the real estate alone that Chavez Ravine is on. I can't imagine what that is. That's not selling one Dodger, anything, just the real estate that Chavez Ravine is. I mean, if we had money, you got to buy a franchise, don't you, Billy? I mean, that's where you make your money, man. Buy a sports team. The Marlins sold way overpriced, and how valuable you think the Marlins franchise is. It's in a tough area in Miami. That stadium is kind of whack. And they paid over market price to get the new owners. Man, I'm telling you, if I would have won that Powerball, I would have been looking to try to buy a franchise somewhere, Billy.
Yeah. Well, I hope I'm on your staff, but
Yes, we
I,
are. I need a GM,
reminds
buddy.
me, think of this. George Steinbrenner used 155,000 of his own dollars to throw it into the $10 million purchase of the New York Yankees in the
On
early
CBS.
70s.
72 or
Okay.
73. Yeah. CBS
So,
they bought him from. You think CBS would like a do-over on that sell?
yeah, should go out for at least 20 million. I mean, come on.
I mean, $10
Wow.
million is $10 million today, but $10 million in 72 or 73 is a ton of money. I mean, so, but you think that they regretted that decision every time they saw those prices coming up on the Yankees' estimated worth value? That's crazy to me. Crazy.
I
And
mean,
my last point would be thumbs down to the Big Ten and ABC and ESPN not coming to an agreement. It'll be 40-year great arrangement where ABC has been doing Big Ten basketball and football games, and they couldn't come to an agreement because this day and age of money getting thrown around and TV rights is just absolutely gone through the roof. And part of that reason, or I shouldn't say part, a big reason of that is streaming. Streaming services that really facilitated these right fees to go through the roof here the last couple of years. You saw that with the NFL doing the games on Thursday night. Now it's going to be Amazon, vice versa. I'm not a fan of the streaming. I liked it at ESPN and ABC gave me my games free, be if I had cable or be if I had direct TV. I hate to have to try to look for games on streaming services. You know, it's not in my nice little neat console at my remote control. You know, I know that's where the game is going. Like today, the Rangers. Why is the Ranger game not on here locally in the Metroplex? I don't know. I didn't have that problem 5 years ago. Every Ranger game was on TV. I know I'm an old. I know that. That's okay. But I like everything nice and neat, and it's not nice and neat. But yes, 40-year arrangement gone between ABC and the Big Ten, and that means NBC, Fox, and CBS are chomping at the bit to get these rights and also to get the streaming rights to Peacock and all that other stuff that goes with it. Not a fan. Not a fan.
No, and really just break down one thing with it. You don't get enough camera angles. You don't get enough up close. You really can't tell what the pitches are or, see the play develop right. And depending on the sport, it's just not the same coverage.
And I like listening to our guys. Our guys are there in spring. I don't want to hear different guys, for a midweek game. If it's a national game, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, obviously, if it's a game of the week, or if it's on ESPN, or if it's the Fox game during the afternoon, I don't have a problem because you have a relationship with those guys. But I don't know who those guys that do these games are. I mean, you lose a little of that home touch feel, when it goes that route. And as I said before, people are cutting the cord. But if you want to watch everything in sports now, you're having to buy a bunch of streaming services for that. So how much of the cord are you really cutting off the price? If you have to go get 6 or 7 different streaming services per month, why didn't you just keep your cable? I mean, it used to be cheap on streaming. That's how they got you. It was $5 a month, $6 a month. Now that it's $20 and $22 a month, that's not cheap anymore when you have multiple streaming services. So yeah. I know that's where it's going. I know I'm an old head. I know I'm an old guy. Get off my yard. I understand that. But it was an easier day when it was just the 4 networks and ESPN televising, or back in my day, home sports entertainment. It was easy. It was easy for me. It's not easy anymore. But anyhow, Billy, it's great to be back on with you, man. It's been a few weeks, man. I missed it. It's favorite hour of the week, man. I'm hoping everything is going well. I know you're busy with your clients. I hope your mom is doing well also. I meant to say that earlier. I know she's been hanging in there. I know she's had some health issues, but I know you said she's fighting tooth and nail, so that's a good thing. But I want to let our fans know that they can send a prayer there for your mom. All the prayer we can get, we'll take it for sure. We appreciate you guys listening to us on Balls of the Wall, episode number 41. We'll be back with you guys next week. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.